You ever have one of those days where you wake up and the world's just wrong? I walked out with my morning coffee, birds chirping, sun slicing through pine trees, and then I saw it. My fence, gone, torn down. All 80 feet of it. The one I had built with my own hands to keep them out. No note, no warning. Just shattered wooden posts scattered like broken bones across my forest-lined property. Then came the HOA email. Unauthorized fencing obstructing community access to Greenbelt. Greenbelt? That Greenbelt was an unmaintained strip of forest crawling with feral hogs, rattlers, and God knows what else. I had warned them, repeatedly, but they didn't. Listen. No. Karen from 3 doors down. Thought it was unsightly. Too rustic. The board backed her up, citing aesthetic disruption. And so they ripped it out. The twist? 2 weeks later, all hell broke loose. Squealing, snarling, goring, rooting hell. Wild boars. Hundreds of pounds. Tusked and territorial. Ravaged lawns, toppled trash cans, chased joggers, even mauled a poodle. Now the same HOA that screamed at me was calling emergency meetings, demanding city intervention. And you guessed it, begging me to do something. But I had a plan. You see, they messed with the wrong neighbor. Stick around. Because justice? Oh, it's served with mud, tusks, and a little poetic karma. Our neighborhood sits on the edge of a sprawling woodland. Reserve. Beautiful. Peaceful. But not without its complications. 5 years ago, I moved into my house at the end of Pine Hollow Drive. A fixer-upper, surrounded on 2 sides by dense forest. I loved it, the quiet, the privacy, the animals, except for one, wild boars. These weren't cartoon pigs. These were invasive, aggressive beasts. They tore up my yard within a month of moving in. So I did what any sane person would do. I built a fence, 8 feet tall, reinforced, blend in with the woods aesthetic. I even ran it by my direct neighbors. No one cared. Until Karen moved in. She arrived in a pastel SUV with a bumper sticker that read, HOA proud. Within weeks, she was on the board. Within months, she was running it. She called herself the Community Aesthetic Officer. She hated my fence. It breaks the visual harmony, she told me at a meeting. I explained the hog problem, showed her photos. She sniffed and said, perhaps you should coexist with nature, not cage it. Coexist, with tusked battering rams that could outrun a greyhound. Then came the letters. Warnings, fines, remove unauthorized structure or face escalating penalties. I appealed. Presented documentation. Even invited them to see the damage from hog incursions before the fence. They refused. Called it fear-mongering. And then one morning they acted. A hired crew, paid by HOA funds, ripped the fence down while I was at work. No heads up, just gone. That was just the beginning. It didn't take long. 3 nights after my fence was demolished, the hogs came back. Not just 1 or 2, an entire sounder. A group of wild boars numbering at least 20. I saw them on my security cam footage, snorting and stomping like an invading army. They plowed through flower beds, rooted up sprinklers, left behind a reeking mess of churned earth and scat. That same night, Karen's pristine backyard, you know, the one she paid a landscaper $4,000 to make look like a magazine cover, absolutely destroyed. Shrubs uprooted. Her stone koi fountain knocked over. Her little concrete gnome, tusks took its head clean off. And yet, she doubled down. She accused me of baiting the boars, claimed I had created a habitat zone that drew them in. I laughed. Then she tried to find me again. This time, for forest mismanagement. I called a meeting, explained once more that the fence was the solution, that I'd happily rebuild it at my own cost. She interrupted me mid-sentence. You think you're smarter than the board? Than the bylaws? This community will not be walled in. Cue the escalation. They started surveilling me. HOA board members parked across from my house for security reasons. One even flew a drone over my yard. Meanwhile, the boars were getting braver. Someone's toddler was nearly gored. Trash day became war. The HOA tried noise deterrence, flashing lights, even hired a wildlife consultant who quit after the first night. Said he'd never seen pigs that mean. But the HOA still wouldn't let me rebuild. They issued a cease and desist when I brought in new lumber. Sent a lawyer letter threatening legal action if I so much as hammered a nail. My little wins were limited. I posted boar cam footage online, and the video blew up in local forums. Some neighbors started siding with me. Karen, red-faced at the next meeting, accused me of slandering the community. Then came the breaking point. Late one night I heard a scream, ran out. 2 houses down, a boar had chased Karen into her garage. She was trembling, holding a tennis racket, barefoot. Her front yard looked like a war zone. She stared at me. Do something! I took a deep breath and said, I will. Because now, it was time for the plan. I got strategic. First, I gathered every piece of documentation. The emails, the fines, the cease and desist letters. I paired them with time-stamped footage of hog damage. I compiled statements from neighbors. Even the landscaper who fixed Karen's yard gave a quote. Then I submitted it all to the local city council. Turns out HOA authority ends exactly at the line of health and safety hazard. And wild boars qualify. Next, I took to social media. Started a series called Boar Watch HOA Edition. Neighbors shared videos. One guy even caught a boar stealing his grill cover. I edited it with dramatic music. It went viral. Now under pressure, the HOA called a private emergency vote. Here's where it gets fun. I ran for the board. Yep, I campaigned, quietly, just enough signatures, to get on the ballot. Used the chaos they created as proof of incompetence. Promised practical solutions. Promised peace. Karen didn't see it coming. The vote passed. Karen voted out me, new HOA vice president. First order of business, emergency motion, to approve reinforced fencing along the greenbelt. Passed. Second, an HOA bylaw adjustment, any safety measure protecting personal property from wildlife. Damage is exempt from aesthetic review. Unanimous. Karen stormed out. I rebuilt the fence, this time taller, with motion lights. And yes, a carved wooden sign that read, "Nature, coexist responsibly." Within a week, the boars stopped. My fence held. The reinforced barriers kept the forest out. Slowly, peace returned. The community, once skeptical, now knocked on my door asking for fence-building tips. The kicker? City Animal Control finally visited. They declared the HOA's actions reckless endangerment. Fined them, officially. The amount? Enough to drain their event budget for 2 years. Karen, she's selling her house. The final straw might have been the neighborhood. Kids dressing up as wild hogs for Halloween. They called themselves the Karen Hunters. One little girl even carried a mini picket sign that said, "Let him build the fence, poetic." The day Karen's moving truck pulled away, I was in my front yard. She glared at me one last time, then looked at the sign on my new fence. Coexist responsibly. I raised my coffee mug. Good luck in the city. And just like that, she was gone, so what did we learn? Sometimes the people yelling about rules are the first to run when nature stops playing nice. Sometimes fences aren't about keeping people out. They're about keeping chaos from getting in. And sometimes, poetic justice shows up on 4 legs and digs up your petunias. I still walk the perimeter of my property every week. The fence is solid. The woods are quiet. And the HOA? They're quieter. I now sit on the board. We focus on things that actually matter. Safety, community, and yes, a little rustic charm. So tell me in the comments, what would you have done? Have you ever dealt with a petty HOA or a Karen that thought she ruled the street? Comment "justice served" if you made it to the end. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is just letting nature do its thing. See you in the next story.